Welcome to I Said What I Said. I'm Brad Wakai. That's Tyson Gentry. Tyson, we keep the NFL draft coverage going. We got a ton of content coming out for you guys. So I'm going to say this early. Stay subscribed. We're going to go through each division in the NFL, kind of giving our thoughts on how each team drafted, what we thought, blah, blah, blah. Not grades. We'll get into that later. But what we want to touch on today is what everybody's talking about, and that's Shedeur Sanders, his shocking slide in the NFL draft. And we got our thoughts on this. We wanted to make a video because we had a couple comments when it was going on, and we want to put a bow on this thing, Tyson. So you were right, because when we said this after the first round, you said, I don't know if he's a second rounder. Now in my head, I'm sitting there going, this guy's crazy. He's going to get taken as one of the earliest day 2 picks. Not only was my thinking wrong, your thinking was more closely resembling, because he went in the 5th round. I mean, it was shocking how far he fell. What did you make of this entire situation?
Well, first of all, like Jack Solbrick's prank call in day 2, like that's crazy, dude. Like that made me feel bad. That was the first time during this whole process where I was like, oh, come on. But he goes in the 5th round to the Browns, who take Dillon Gabriel in the 3rd, who have the immortal one, Joe Flacco, 40 years old, who go out and sign Kenny Pickett, and who have Deshaun Watson with a blown Achilles. So all in all, like a situation where if he would have walked in as a 2nd round pick, he would have been probably a little fired up. But this speaks closer to, like, NFL teams didn't have a 1st round grade on him. Maybe some had a 2nd round grade. Maybe those guys were the Kansas City Chiefs or whoever else that were just like, no, we're not investing in a quarterback this early. But also, like, this whole thing that's been lost during this discussion is backup quarterbacks. If that's the grade most these NFL teams had on them, which is what, this suggests, you're supposed to blend in with the couch, brother. Like, it's not supposed to be a circus, a media thing. And I think it was the NFL putting their foot down. And there was, like, for 2 years, we've had to hear he could pull an Eli. Dion tweeted that out, all of this stuff, and it was like it culminated in what was apparently a horrible pre-draft process for him. And then the NFL just saying we don't want to have to deal with it. And whether that's a referendum on his talent or his personality, you can be the judge, or maybe it's both.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to discuss here that a lot of people have talked about. And so what I want us to do here is give our thoughts on this entire situation. I think it first starts with the old adage, Tyson. The NFL is a meritocracy. The best players play. This is a billion-dollar business. The notion that the NFL is blackballing Shedeur Sanders is insane. Like the old line, if Hannibal Lecter could run a 4.4, he'd be in the NFL. Yeah, people overlook horrendous things that people have done. Guns, drugs, domestic violence, sexual assault. And if you can play, you're going to have a spot in the NFL. You're going to get a second chance. So I thought that notion was completely ridiculous, because let's not get it twisted here. If Shedeur Sanders had the talent of Andrew Luck, he'd go number 1 overall.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The circus. And that's the thing here. That brings me to, everybody knows the hot crazy scale, right? Like your hotness and your craziness of a girl, and I'm sure the girls have things for guys, but Tyson and I are 2 guys here, and so that's what we're familiar with. There's the hot crazy scale, right? There's a line that you have, and that's the Y and X axis, right? And you kind of go here and that. It's the same thing that NFL teams are trying to come up with. What's the baggage and what's the talent? It's the talent baggage scale here. Shedeur Sanders' talent did not outweigh the baggage that was come with it. And whether that's Dion, which I know a lot of people are saying, which I'll get to, it's just, let's just look at him right now, Shedeur Sanders, the prospect. Tyson said it, and I said it when we were going through this when he fell out of the 1st round. The arm strength's average. The accuracy is his plus trait, which, okay, that's good. You need to be accurate here. Average athleticism, not good running out of the pocket. Everybody talks about the bad offensive line. Yes, but he also bailed out of the pocket backwards.
90+ sacks in 2 years.
So those are all the things that NFL teams are looking at from just a player perspective here. And that's why he fell out of the 1st round. That's what I go from here. And then Tyson, we'll get into why he kept falling, which I think is the case. But can we agree on that? You and I both are coming to the thinking on that front. That's why he fell out of the 1st round.
Yeah, and probably the 2nd too.
I'd agree with that. And the other part that we have to go here, Tyson, and we didn't do a lot of going into the draft coverage, so people are going to say you're pulling this out of your ass. But if you're a draft junkie, which we are, how many teams were actually looking for this is going to be our starting quarterback, or this is who we're building around? Maybe like 4 teams in this entire process?
Yeah, I mean, and one of those was like that we talked ourselves into was Pittsburgh, and it was like the whole reason that the Shedeur Sanders to Pittsburgh narrative was like, oh, Mike Tomlin can deal with this. It was never really the Steelers love this kid. It was just like Colin Cowherd or whoever saying Steelers make a ton of sense. I'd give up TJ Watt and 2 firsts or whatever trade deal he had. So that one was like mostly not even real. Titans were always going to take Cam Ward. That's been locked in for 2.5, 3 months. And then if the Sports Illustrated article is the mystery team is the New York Giants, that it kind of seems like maybe it was, try to give him a chance. And the interviews just went poorly, and it was like, we're going with Jackson Dart. And by the way, yes, they traded back into the first round to get him. So that capital is kind of part of this, but picking a quarterback where the Giants pick Jackson Dart isn't necessarily like a stamp it for the future. If they're in a position to take Arch Manning next year, they're going to do it.
Right. And that's the thing that we are looking at here is why did things go sour with the teams who may have been interested in drafting him? And this is the other part of the conversation I think people are bringing up. And this is where I think the race is getting thrown in here, which I think is completely ridiculous. And maybe we're being naive. Maybe we're being ignorant. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, just listen, we've followed the sport for a long time. We've seen a lot of people get drafted who have questionable backgrounds, and Shedeur Sanders doesn't, right? Like he's not getting in trouble with the law. And the only thing that's going on here with Shedeur Sanders is the attitude and the cockiness. And it's getting spun as, well, the NFL doesn't like confident black guys. What are we talking about here? Every single person that's drafted, white or black, Asian, Hispanic, they're confident. You got to be confident to get to this point. You've been the best player in your team growing up. You're damn near all of them are the best player in their college teams. And if not, they weren't the best or top 5. That's the type of athlete we're talking about here. So I think that was completely ridiculous. It goes back to the talent baggage thing. Deion Sanders, and we're going to, kind of, there's a lot of teams that we don't want him to go to. Okay, well, that's your prerogative. Then that cut off a ton of teams. You go into these meetings with the bad attitude. And sure, maybe you didn't want to go to the Bears. The Bears weren't necessarily going to take it, but you're damn right. They're going to be talking to another team. Hey, how'd that interview go? Oh, it went boring. Oh, what happened? What'd you see here? All these teams talk, and all these teams are saying, well, maybe there's something didn't go right in this situation. For what we heard, Brian Daboll, and maybe an unnamed team, called out Shedeur Sanders. Hey, something's wrong here. Let's talk about it. And he said, what do you like? Kind of shut down and went back at him. It's like that's not coachable. And like you said, Tyson, if you already got a back upgrade on these guys, that's not the way to approach things here. So I don't think that helped him at all. Plus, he didn't go through the pre-draft stuff. Combine,
that was the craziest thing this whole time.
So he was acting like he was Andrew Luck. He was acting like he was these types of can't-miss prospects because that's what the media built him up to be. Number 1 overall pick for sure. And that's just not how the NFL teams viewed him.
But that part is what is craziest to me is like, whatever was on Instagram or being reported, on SportsCenter or whatever at First Take, how did your agent not know? Or how did nobody around you know the grades the NFL teams had on you? And it was like, hey, maybe the East-West game would be good for you to show up to. Or, hey, maybe do some on-field stuff at the Combine. Like, that part doesn't compute.
I'm curious about that, Tyson, too, because I think the whole Shedeur Sanders situation really shined the light on the difference between how actually the football side of things in the NFL are viewing a prospect, Shedeur Sanders, versus the media conglomerate thing where, I mean, Mel Kiper is freaking crying on ESPN. Completely inappropriate, by the way. Like, we don't necessarily call out media members, but the fact that, and this is why I don't watch on their draft coverage, because I got to listen to that hack. Wow. I just
came 50 years. For 50 years, the NFL's been just, oh my God. It was like, dude, 15 years ago or whatever, you said you're going to retire if Jimmy Clausen was the best quarterback in the draft, and you're still up here yelling at us. Love Trey Lance, love Zach Wilson, love Mitch Trubisky, all this. Pat Mahomes is a project. It's like, you don't get pick and choose, Mel.
Ridiculous. And so I thought this was a very illuminating thing, Tyson, between the media guys who make a business doing this and then what the actual GMs and stuff are doing. And I thought maybe the lips were sealed a little bit tight on Shedeur Sanders, or maybe people just didn't want to hear it. Like, there were scouts out there that said, nah, we're not that high on Shedeur Sanders. We'd be like, whoa, so unnamed sources. I mean, put your name on it. It's like we do this for everybody here. There were signs out there that maybe the NFL is not that high on Shedeur Sanders, and I thought a lot of the media conglomerate just kind of glossed over. It's like, well, whatever.
It was also like a really weak quarterback class. And so if you wanted to put him at QB2, like Dane Brugler, who's a heck of a NFL draft guy, had him at quarterback too. That doesn't we'll find out. But like, just because everyone, like, he had him over Tyler Shuck and Dylan Gabriel and those guys, and that's okay. Like, but just based on on-field production, it's not like he was, oh, this guy's Joe Burrow, or he's there. So he was being pushed up by this poor class. And then, like, the one thing that just is bugging me the most maybe is 10 billion or 10 million people on Twitter can have their opinions. There's 32 opinions that matter in the NFL, and those are the guys turning in the draft cards. And those guys didn't agree with you, and that doesn't mean that they're wrong or anything like that. They have dedicated millions of dollars in resources to making sure that these things run smoothly. They're Fortune 500 businesses. Like, they made a decision that they wanted to make, and now everybody gets to go online and get on their soapbox. And where were you when the Browns secure their future and all this stuff? And it's like, if you change his last name, we would be like, wow, this guy had really good production. At a low-level school in Jackson State, was able to go up, to the Big 12 and win more games at Colorado. The whole turned around the program thing is still a little bit ridiculous, because we need some sustained success there probably to make that proclamation. But if you just took the last name off, it would be Troy Smith at Ohio State or whatever. Like, nobody was mad when the Heisman Trophy winner went in the 6th round.
Well, how about Quinn Ewers? I mean, this was a can't-miss prospect coming out of high school.
Right in front of us, yeah.
And in the same draft, this guy's getting over. And listen, we've had our criticism of Quinn Ewers. And if you listen to us in our college football stuff, you've heard us criticize Shedeur Sanders. You've heard us criticize Quinn Ewers. We're not high on this quarterback class. And we've even criticized Cam Ward. We don't think he's a can't-miss guy by any stretch of the imagination. But the fact that Quinn Ewers is the number one high school recruit, like one of the highest-rated guys ever coming out of high school, and it's not like he turned in a bad career at Texas, Tyson. 7th round?
Yeah.
Like, wow. The fact that Dylan Gabriel went above Quinn Ewers is offensive.
Yeah. I think Dylan Gabriel going above most of these guys was enough to piss me and you off. But, yeah, this is – everybody out there, calm down. We'll find out in August. Maybe he wins the job, Brad. Maybe he wins MVP in his career. He wins a Super Bowl, and everyone gets to point back in the NFL draft and say, wow, look at how wrong they were. Or he's a 5th-round quarterback, and he gets a contract.
I was going to say, let's close out here, because we started with the what happened early on. Oh, my gosh, what's going on? Why did this happen? This is the reality here. And I thought Louis Riddick said it right. Okay, you fell in the 5th round. You are now in the building now.
Yep.
You have an opportunity here in front of you to compete with Deshaun Watson, like you said, having a torn Achilles. Is anybody sold on the age of Joe Flacco right now, what he did last year at times for the Colts? I don't think so. Kenny Pickett's not like he's done anything in his career. He's already on his 3rd team. Dylan Gabriel, we're just talking about, we don't think he can play. This is probably the best spot that he could have landed here, if we're being serious, to go in and have an opportunity to compete. Now, would you rather do it as the number 2, number 5 overall pick? If you're the Browns took you there instead of the 5th round? Sure, you're got your 5th-year guarantee. You're probably more likely to succeed. That's just the way it goes. But none of that, everything's in the past now. Right now, you have an opportunity to go and compete. You are with Kevin Stefanski. You got some weapons around you, a good offensive line. I thought the Browns had a really good draft. We're going to get into that. I mean, there are pieces in place here, Tyson. It's just, can Shedeur Sanders do it? We're going to find out, like you said.
Yeah, what's your guess?
I think he's going to make the team. I think he's going to be a 3rd stringer backup, and they're going to kind of keep him around, Tyson, and they will move to him. I think he's going to start a game for the Cleveland Browns in the next 2 years.
Beautiful. Clip it. That's what we needed. I hope that happens.
Listen, we're rooting for him. We said this when he was falling.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against Shedeur Sanders. I think the fact that he fell this far, Tyson, the NFL is like, I don't know about this. It's less surprising to you and me, who have been draft nuts forever and watch college football, than I think the majority of people who just tune in to NFL draft stuff.
Yeah, when we were texting, and it was like, if he goes after Milroe, it's over. And then he goes after Milroe, goes after Tyler Shuck, goes after Dylan Gabriel, goes after just about everybody else in the draft. What do you, if you're the Rock, let's say Shedeur doesn't make it out of camp, he gets cut. If you're the Rock and you're running, what is it, the UFL right now? Yep. How much money are you just throwing at this kid and just being like, let's make a YouTube channel out of this?
A lot, dude. I mean, they need some life there.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm getting clips. You know, I got one of my buddies who's all into it. I think it's just because he's tries to be edgy on this thing. I'm like, dude, this league stinks. Like, what are you doing? The games are actually pretty interesting. It's just like they need eyeballs. Sheduer Sanders is bringing the eyeballs. Let's not get it twisted.
So I mean, the fallback option is pretty good.
I agree. And, you know, he's made a ton of money. He's Deion's son. He's a superstar. He wants to do music, things like that. He got drafted in the 5th round, people. He didn't get executed. Like, come on. Let's stop acting like he's a victim or whatever. Like, he slid. It happens all the time here. Sheduer Sanders now has an opportunity to potentially win the starting job of the Cleveland Browns. So we'll see how that happens. Tyson, I want to give our thoughts here. Do you have anything closing, or are you ready to get into the other team stuff we got coming up here?
I think we'll just, we're going to go jump, division by division and break those down.
I'm pumped, man. I'm pumped. So, said it a couple times, like, subscribe, and share. Don't miss a single thing that we got coming out to you. It's going to be a busy week of content. Plus, we got some NBA thoughts that are going to have to happen. And so that's why I got to say subscribe here. We'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.